because it's so energetic, it's so nice. The sun's out, we're having a good day. So I will ask you all to please stand for O Canada, followed by Rotary Grace.
O Canada, we stand on guard for thee. Hey, Rotary friends and Rotary ways, help us to serve thee all our days.
Ladies and gentlemen, and Steve Wallace. I'd like to welcome some visiting Rotarians today. First of all, where is Rosemary Connectal from the Hamilton downtown? Thank you very much for being here. And John Connectal also here as well. Dan Lahuda and Dottie Lahuda from Olympia, Washington. Where are you today? Here. Thank you very much for being here. We hope you understand our Canadian English. David Call, who's a guest of Mickey Fleming. Welcome. Thank you very much. Our guest speaker, we'll hear more about him. I've met him once or twice myself. His name is John Wilson. We'll hear about him. Tracy Zeisberger, who's here from Wilson's Transportation as well. And the guest of Richard McAllis is Leanne Walker. Leanne, where are you?
Now I'm going to call on Steve Wallace to please introduce our guest speaker for today.
Thank you, President Allen. Our guest speaker is John Wilson from Wilson Transportation. So the person that we've got here today is the CEO of Wilson Transportation. He has had a 140% increase in his business since 2008. And on top of that, today, there will be a second draw because John has donated a trip back and forth to the airport on the shuttle as the second draw prize for today's meeting. John has an ownership in the Minnesota Panthers, the Grizzlies hockey team. He's also now a major owner of the Harbor Cats with Jim Swanson, who's at the head table as well. I want you to give a warm welcome to John Wilson, a native son, a good guy, and someone who has sponsored the people in need in our community at the slightest of requests.
Thank you very much, Steve, and thank you to the Rotary Club for inviting me here today. It's not something I do very often, so bear with me. I've mentioned to a few people here, I don't know why you want to hear from me, but we're in the bus business. I always reference myself as a simple bus guy, and I really am that. I've been very fortunate to come from a family that's given me a lot of opportunities. So I just thought I'd talk about the past and how our company got to where we are today, and some of the things we do in the community. And then if you have any questions, you can fire them away. At the time, my dad started a trucking company. Decided that there was only a certain amount of work he could get on Salt Spring Island, and with a young family needed to move to Victoria. Moved to Victoria, bought a company called New Way Delivery off of Gentleman, and started doing the deliveries for Woolco department stores. I'm sure you all remember them from back in the days. They are now the Walmarts. He went on to buy a truck rental company as well, and decided to diversify a little bit because the trucking industry was deregulating. And that company, through different situations, wound up having vans and school buses, and that's how we got into the bus business. And started with them full time right out of high school at 18. So I've actually been doing this. I'm 48 now, so I've actually been doing it 30 years. 2008 is when the big turning point happened. In 2008, we were the small player in town when it came to the bus business, and we started to grow. We were starting to make some inroads. And we had an office on Oak Street, and the office actually, one night in April, burned to the ground. And it was the turning point in our company's life, because within that 2-week period, we moved the company to my house. We were running it out of our house. During that time, my dad had a stroke, and we got certified by CAW for our drivers. So I can honestly tell you, I was on my back porch on my cell phone talking to a friend and ready to pull the plug and just sell the buses and say, okay, it was a good drive. We now have the Grey Line sightseeing, the double deckers in front of the Empress Hotel, and we transport about 90, maybe even 95% of the over 500,000 people that come off those cruise ships every year. But we just signed a deal with a company out of Vancouver that we're going to electrify one of those buses and have the first electric run Victoria. We want a good image as people come into Victoria, and the YYJ shuttle at the time was not portraying that. So we brought in brand new buses, uniform drivers, and a true half-hour service here in town. I've been doing it a year and a half now, and I've got the full support of the 12 core hotels here in town, and the airport is happy with our service. BC Transit, I touched upon BC Transit in the past, in the previous, and so we have a BC Transit refit program in our shop. We operate the Glanford facility, Glanford and Van Allen. So, Manuel and myself and the owners of Greyhound and the owners of Pacific Coach Lines are now partnering on a project that we're calling the Transportation Precinct, which is what we hope will be a replacement for the bus depot. I've gotten together as a group and sat down with Mayor Elks and came up with this Transportation Precinct idea, which will be, we hope, in the Crystal Gardens. Be more of a retail spot in the Crystal Gardens where we'll be selling tickets and having a sawtooth parking out front. I realized a long time ago that community is so important, and that's when I decided to try to really put my time forward in the community. The community gives to us, we give back to them. We need to give back. We have a large sponsorship budget. We brought Tracy in this year to help me with that. Her title is Director of Marketing and Community Relations, and that community relations is a big part of it. So I'm on the board of the Greater Victoria Chamber of Commerce. Have been for 5 years. I think I'll be the vice chair next year, when Al Hashem takes over. I guess I'll finish up with the City of Victoria Economic Task Force. So I was fortunate enough to be appointed by Mayor Elves on her Economic Development Task Force a couple weeks ago, actually. Tomorrow morning is our first meeting.
I've put these on the table, and I'm sorry they're not fancy and they don't have any color, and I didn't take a lot of time, but the message is important. So the first one is, if you feel that you want to donate and help out in Nepal, a great way to do that is through Shelter Box. I would really like all of you to make sure that you're also prepared yourself. I was looking at the Shelter Box list of things that's in there, and I thought, do I have all those things? Pat Crofton is handing out member books, and he says that many of you have not taken your member book. And next week we're going to give Steve Wallace, our Director of Recognition, a list of people who haven't taken a book yet.
So the first one is 0619657.
Dan Parker.
Last one will go to 0619652.
652 is yours as well. Well, thank you.
Thank you, President Alley. John, on behalf of the Rotary Club of Victoria, thank you very much for speaking to us today. It's very insightful. Great to hear the background.
I'd like to invite Richard Michaels and Leanne from the Post-Polio Awareness Society.
Terry is now on a feeding tube, and he's growing stronger every day. Yesterday, he was transferred from Sandwich Peninsula Hospital to DGH. His spirits are up, largely in part from the emails that he was received from the fellow Rotarians and really Rotarians from all over the world.
So I need to empty out our Polio Plus donation fund and give the money to Terry to present another club with the challenge. And I just thought, I would love us to give a surprise for Terry and challenge your amazing group to challenge your group to match our donation and raise money on behalf of Terry.
1, 2, 3, go!
Terry!
How about a wave? And Leanne, how much did we raise?
We've raised over $700 to go towards the Rotary Polio Plus Terry in your name.
We have a couple of good birthdays here today. Miss Marley, it's her birthday today.
Yes.
And our fearless leader to be, I'm so excited. Happy birthday.
God save the